Alright, we are live. Where are you? Oh yeah, I forgot you don't start in the same area that I do. So, first ever...
on Exile's Reach?
Yeah, but we don't ever start on the boat together. I'm like on the boat, but you're not here. So my first question was, what was your first thoughts when you saw the cinematic for Dragonflight, the new expansion coming out?
I thought it was way too long getting to the point. We all knew what it was anyway from the last minute leaks. There was no hiding it at that point.
I could agree with that. I felt like it was kind of lacking in like story detail, like in general. Like usually our cinematics in the past have always had like an aspect of why we're going somewhere. Like we knew why we were going to Draenor. We were hunting down Hellscream, and we knew why we were in Mists of Pandaria. This is just like, it kind of comes out of left field. There was no kind of lead up to this place. I'm excited though. Like, I'm excited to see Rathian again. In my notes, I'm really hoping, this is just like a personal hope, I'm really hoping that like time has passed while we were in Shadowlands. You know, like when we come back, it's been like 10 years, 15 years. Like there's been a significant time difference. I don't think there will be, but that's my hope.
I mean, time will have passed. Because we already know that time passes differently in the Shadowlands.
Yeah. So that's my big hope, is like it will actually be like a significant amount of time has passed. When we... that thing jumped really far away. When we come back. And in that respect, it's like I was watching the a couple weeks ago, I guess it was, the cinematic for the ending of, well, it wasn't a cinematic, it was a conversation that Anduin had with Gen about the fact that he was staying in Shadowlands for a while.
Yeah, because I mean, I like made you watch it.
Right. And it's like what that means for the Alliance. I mean, I know currently we're playing on the Horde side, but we do main Alliance characters. So what that means with Trallion being, well, continuing to be the leader for the Alliance side while he's gone. Because he's like, just let Trallion do it. He's doing a really good job. How would he know that?
Because Gen knows, in theory.
I guess. I mean, I don't know how long between Anduin getting kidnapped and us jumping through the veil to go to the Shadowlands. I don't exactly know how much time passed.
I mean, technically Gen didn't go with us, so he would have been out in the real world the entire time.
So who was he talking to? Oh, he was talking to Jaina. That's who he was talking to. And Bane or whoever. Because the conversation was had that he wasn't going back. I think it was with Jaina.
Well, no, he was talking to Gen, but Gen stayed in the real world, but now we can travel back and forth at will. Because the veil is so thin now.
I did not get the bird. One second. That kind of goes into me talking about the fact that we play Alliance all the time normally. That kind of goes into, are you excited about the cross faction being added in 9.2.5?
And it'll probably be easier for me to get bleeding edge, cutting edge that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, I'm still gonna get killed if I turn on war mode on Storm Rage. So,
aren't we all?
I mean, I guess it doesn't really make a difference.
I'm kind of excited for it. I'm interested to see like what it's going to create for the game. Oh yeah, I get to spar with whatever this person's name is. What's her name?
Max.
Yeah, that one. So how do you feel about the new class and, well, race class combo? This is me not paying attention.
I mean, it's just like any other hero class. I mean, it's gonna be good when it first comes out.
You get nerfed into the ground.
Yep, and you're only gonna be able to have one, so everybody who's saving 2 names is gonna be pretty foolish when the expansion launches.
That would be me. I'm saving 2 names. How do you know that it's only gonna be one? Is it because they said hero class?
Every hero class has been that way.
Well, eventually they let it go, though.
Right, but it's going to be years before that's a thing, so don't bother.
Yeah, I'll save my name.
It's an at least... Well, you can save your name, but it's going to be expansions before that happens. So...
In an interview, Ian Hazacosta was talking about how somebody asked him about level squishing again in the future, because we're going to be able to get to level 70 in this next expansion. And he said that in the year 2030... So, I mean, they have the expectation that WoW will be around, and that they have plans for that far in the future of what they're going to do about squishing again. How would you feel about an expansion where you don't level? Like, there are no levels to have. You just go through the storyline. Because that was mentioned.
I mean, I don't know what it is they expect to happen there. I mean...
You just play the game without levels. You just do a story.
Nobody would play that. Because nobody would have a sense of accomplishment.
Well, I'm sure they would find a different way to make it feel accomplishing. Like, you get better gear, like you would.
Yeah, but you can't really have stat progression without level progression, unfortunately.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of it either. I maybe wouldn't be opposed to, like how they did, I think it was in Kata? Was it Kata? Where they only went up 5 levels? I'd be okay with that. It's just those 5 have to be significant, and it needs to take a little longer to get to the next level.
I mean, they can't really do that, though, because of the 1%. 1%ers can't have it taking forever. So that will never be a thing ever again, that it takes a long time.
Yeah. Fair. My wants versus reality.
Your wants versus have some food.
Hey, thanks.
Your wants versus the reality of the people who actually make money for the game.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to most, would you say?
Just a new race, just to see. I mean, always nice to get a new... Always nice to have a new race. I mean, other than an allied race.
I think I'm really looking for, I main heals. I think 90% of my WoW career has been, air quotes, gameplay, whatever, has been as a healer. And so I'm very excited that for once, it's not just a DPS and a tank and then another DPS spec. Like, it's actually a healing spec coming in, a new healing spec, the opportunity to learn something new. Because in the past, I know you always pick the new class that you can be in the game. You were an extremely good Death Knight. You were an extremely good Demon Hunter. You're extremely good at playing Monk. As each of those expansions were a thing, and then, you know, when they got nerfed and things changed and you wanted something different, it's nice to get to be somebody that also gets to pick a new race class combination kind of thing. Because I've always just gone into the next expansion going, oh, I'm maining my druid again, or I'm, you know, druids aren't that great anymore, so I'm going to main my Disc Priest, or now Disc Priest is weird, so I'm going to do this instead. And this time it's actually like I get the opportunity to also play something different. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that. And the color combination, I know we were watching Bellular talk about how the idea that you have to be the Dracthyr dragon form to fight. My hope actually is that they will make it to where you kind of like the way that demon hunters metamorph when they do their eye beam. Like, just when they have those abilities where they have to be the big dragon, they just transform into the dragon and then change back, and it's like an option. You can either be a dragon all the time, you can be your humanoid form all the time, or you can flip-flop through combat. They already have that ability in the game, so why not just make that how it works?
And I mean, I already made the point once, is that like I wouldn't necessarily like mind being able to fight in my humanoid form.
Yeah, that's my want, is like, what's the point of making all of these really amazing customization options for the humanoid form if, I mean, I know that my Worgen can be a human, but because it doesn't automatically turn back into a human when combat is over, I don't think Briar has seen her human form basically since she was in Gilneadus and was a human.
Yeah, I know Bernison hasn't.
Yeah, so it's to
be fair, I don't know that Bernison has ever seen his humanoid form.
Well, you start as a human in the Gilneas starting zone. Well, you didn't start in that zone.
No.
You did Exile's Reach, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can see how it's different for him. But I personally... Oh, I need to... Hang on just a sec. I have to reload so I have a map. My... Briar was created back in Kata when you were able to be... Or, well, when it made sense to do the starting zone. One of the things that I don't like about Worgen is their starting zone is long, with a capital L. And I'm not a big fan of being stuck there. You know, like in other races, you can be like, well, I don't really want to be here anymore, so I'm going to go off and I'm going to run over to the Draenei starting zone and do my leveling over there instead. Or I'm going to, you know, hop on a Griffin and go to the human starting zone and do that instead. And with this, it's like, well, you can't do that. You have to stay in that starting zone, which I'm sure is what they're going to do with the Dracthyr too. Oh, no, can't go that way. But the hope is that, my hope is that they will not give us all these customization options for really cool hair and jewelry and horns when they're in their human form and yada yada yada, or humanoid form, and then just take it away. Like, what's the point if you're always going to be stuck in your dragon form. Which is why I never really had a problem with them not giving Worgen more human options. There's no reason to. But they've made a point to say that they gave us a lot of options for the Dracthyr. And so I don't want to be stuck not being able to play with those options. Because I can understand, like, with the wing buffet thing, like, where they flap their wings really hard. We've seen that in some gameplay demo that they gave us. I could see them having to, like, jump up, change forms, do the wing flap, and then after, like, a set, like, 10-second amount of time or something, they drop back down into humanoid form, if that's what you want. Or if they automatically come back to humanoid form when they leave combat. And then you can choose. I don't know. I just don't see a point of giving us the option if they're going to spend all of their time in dragon form. Your dude's kicking my butt.
Yeah. Huh?
Your guy is kicking my butt.
He is a mage. You are a paladin with basically no abilities. We need to kill this rare. I haven't killed it in months.
Okay. I'm gonna get this totem as we go by. He kirked you. How dare he kirk you? And then are you, I mean, I know I'm already saying that I'm going to do the healing thing. Do you have a plan, an expectation of which you would rather test out and play with?
I mean, we can't both heal, so...
That is incorrect. You just would have to be on different players.
I mean, like I said, can't really both main a healer.
True, but I mean, as I'd be willing to switch out for a little while at least.
You've never really shown a penchant for tanking.
It's not a tank, it's a DPS.
Right, that's my point. You aren't really gonna tank, so that would slow things down by a huge portion. So I would have to basically just I could stick with range DPS. It's not really that big of a deal. I'm just more interested in the systems of the character, or of the class, really, not really the character.
How do you feel about the power button?
I don't know. I mean, the thing about my keyboard is that I don't actually have to, like, press the button all the way down to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
You might have to bind it while you're opening those. I'm going to do this over here real quick.
What are you doing?
It's the paladin thing. While you're opening the thing, I'm going to...
You lazy bastard.
It is actually
and
proficient timing.
No, it's not.
It totally is.
It would have been faster for you to do 2 of these.
Okay, here I go.
I've already done 3, you lazy ass.
So do you have any names thought up for your character that you have saved? You can't, if you don't have them saved, don't say it yet, but do you have names?
No, I mean, because we had no way of knowing dragons were actually coming, so I used what I would normally use as a dragon name on a different character, so I guess I'm gonna have to delete that character. Which is a shame because I actually really like that character.
Couldn't you just name change him?
I mean,
in theory.
I'm not willing to pay.
Yeah. Fair.
Not the price they want to charge for it anyway.
It's not as bad as it used to be. What did it used to be? $25 of change. Now it's only $10.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was much more expensive at one point than it is now.
But still, understandable that it's like meh. But since your name, I mean, the name is taken at least by you, so you could tell everybody what it would be.
Oh yeah, it'd be Thordak.
And for those in the audience that has no idea who that is
the Cinder King from Critical Role.
Big, huge, scary red dragon.
Yep.
Very scary dude.
So that would firmly put me in the Alex Strauza camp.
Although, technically, if you like Thordak, you could technically get rid of Archon. Because you haven't leveled Archon.
I don't have an Archon anymore.
Oh, I thought you did.
He had to go. He was on Earth and Ring.
Well,
so.
Archon's available then. I still have him on my character list. Crap, I better delete him. And that means you have two characters that I need.
All of my Earth and Ring characters are gone except Mechanus.
Yeah. So I have 3 that I can remember off the top of my head. I can't remember what my third one is. I know both sides have one R name and one S name, if I remember correctly. For if by chance they let us make both, like have more than one.
My second one would be Krieg, I think. Make it blue.
Make it blue. So for those that don't know, both Chris and I are altaholics, and I think Chris is more of an altaholic because of me than he is actually an altaholic. But the goal is to have a max level character on both sides, so both Horde and Alliance, of every single spec in the game. So right now, that's 36 different specs in the game. So eventually there'll be 38. And having a max level of each of those specs. So currently on Horde side right now, I'm playing what this character will eventually be as a Holy Paladin. And he's playing, I believe, a Fire Mage?
Yeah.
Correct, yes.
Which I cannot play. Even if I learn it, I won't be able to play it.
That's alright. We all have that one thing that is just like not our thing. And my thing is everything rogue. All the things rogue. Can't do it. But I'm still going to do it. But so the reason that I can think of 3 off the top of my head.
Hang on a second, because I gotta go do this stupid.
I
have to breathe. Like, I don't know why I'm underwater, but
you gotta show that you could do it. Oh, you gotta go get the book. Isn't it a book at the bottom?
Yeah, this would make more sense if I was, say, a warlock, because they get underwater breathing. But
true. So, the reason I have 3 off the top of my head is because I've got 2 lined up for Horde side and 2 lined up for Alliance side, so that those specs, I have both, one for each side. And so Horde side, I have Raishan, which matches up with Thordak, which would be great if they ran around together. So Raishan is the green dragon that worked for Thordak in the campaign for Critical Role. I'm pretty sure she also was trying to be his consort, if I remember correctly, because like she's got the eggs, but I'm not positive on that part of. Is that part of this? Was that it? Like her and Thordak were a thing?
I doubt it. I don't think she really liked him that much because he was keeping her sick.
True. So, either way, her name is Raishan, and she's the plague bringer or the life taker or whatever. And she's a green dragon in that campaign. And then my other one is Seraphin. And my plan for that one is that it's going to be a bronze color, probably, if I had to guess. I'll be interested to see if they give us black dragon options. If they do, it would probably be that, even though it's it would be like a play on words, Seraphim being holy and light-filling and angel-ish in the name, but that it would be playing a death style character. I mean, that's what you think of when you think of the black dragonflight, even though technically they are the life givers of some variety. Isn't that, weren't they the earthen group before they were bad guys?
What are we talking about?
The black dragonflight.
I do not know.
Because Deathwing was like the Earth Warder, right? And then he turned evil. Either way.
I have no idea. I don't know enough about the lore of the Dragonflights. I thought it was always just Alexstrasza because she's as old
She's
as
the
Deathwing
Lifebinder. She's like the creature keeper, and he was like the actual world protector. If I remember correctly.
I guess it makes sense. They live in the heart of a mountain, I suppose.
Yeah. So, and then on the Alliance side, the one that I can remember is Rainier, which is funny because Chris also has a character named Rainier, which an anime person would know who that is. It's a character from High School DxD. I don't have a color theme for that one yet. I know in High School DxD she's got black hair, she's got black clothes, because she's a fallen angel. So if I make Seraphin a bronze dragonflight and you can have black dragonflight, I might do that.
You get back here and you dance with that chef.
I danced in general. And then I can't remember, for the life of me, I can't remember what the other one's name was going to be. I don't think I wrote it down either. But would probably be blue. And that way I have one of each of the aspects. Green, blue, red, and bronze. Now, if, like I said, if they let us have the black features, I might do a black one instead of a bronze one, or instead of a blue one, maybe. Because red is my favorite color.
But
and then
we did not see any black features in the...
Right. And that's been brought up. Like, what's the plan behind the lore of the Black Dragonflight? Because Rathion's gonna go with us. He's like the leader of the campaign that direction.
Now, if I had to guess, it's gonna be off limits.
Yeah. Which is
just
fine.
because of Onyxia and. Can you bring them out here so that I don't have to like run inside?
Well, not when you keep hitting them.
Well, yeah, because you had already basically killed it at that point.
My next thing is we rewatched the cinematic earlier today, and one of the things that I noticed is there is a green aspect flying with them. Who the heck is that?
Oh, it's Ysera's daughter. They do explain who that is.
Okay. And my question is like, when we come home, is there a chance that Ysera's going to come with us?
No. She belongs to the forest.
So, I found that interesting, because I keep forgetting about her, I'm not going to lie. This person's having a bad day with some pigs.
What's her name? Ymera, I think it was. Something like that.
Isn't it Ceresa or something? I don't know.
Yeah, it starts with a Y, just like her mom.
Ysera's daughter is named Mithra. Merithra.
That's not what they said in the thing. I mean, that's not the name they gave. Maybe it wasn't her daughter then. It's definitely not the name they gave.
Because we meet her in Battle for Azeroth. We walk up to her and we say, "Who are you?" And she says, "I am Mithra, daughter of Ysera the Dreamer." Maybe she's got more than one daughter, because I thought we met somebody different inside.
It's possible. But I mean, I know 100% they gave a name that was similar to Ysera's in the way that it, like, phonetically, that it sounded, and it was close to her name. But maybe they did say her name and I misheard, but I don't think so.
Well, hang on just a second. Let me follow you. And I will look. Go ahead.
We're gonna get a paladin killed here today, folks. Don't turn. Please don't turn. Right.
Maybe you say her name Mithera instead of Marithra.
I mean, that's fine, but that they did not say that in the thing, in the interview. I mean, it was just in the one we just watched. In the deep dive.
Seeing a different name. I do have the names of the Dragonflight dungeons here. We've got Oldemon, Classic Titan Dungeon, making a return.
Not really looking forward to that.
Blizzard also plans to ship this dungeon early as part of the Dragonflight pre-patch event, which introduces players to the new systems and features before the game comes out. Sorry, hold on. And then we've got Neltharius, known as the Ancestral Stronghold. Black Dragonflight's players will battle the Jarden for control of the Ancient Bastion. We have Life Pools. The Life Pools are the Red Dragonflight themed dungeon, of which there's very little known about it. And Primal Incarnates Raid. The first raid is described as a prison of Primal Incarnates. Little is known about the Primal Incarnates, but they seem to be elements of sorts similar to the likes of Ragnaros. It's entirely possible that this prison includes Chromatus and turned in his arcane prison. That's kind of cool.
We're looking forward to returning to Alderaan, because that's once again us traveling around in circles, going from point to point.
Yeah. So, lots of information here. Dragon aspects: blue, red, black, bronze, and green return to the Isles to reclaim their place as the Guardians of Azeroth. New level cap is 70, which we knew. We're returning to Azeroth, which was, something that I was really looking forward to. As much fun as this has been to be in Shadowlands, I'm kind of over it. I'm ready to go home. Azeroth is home. We've been there, or we've been like out of the loop for a while. The one thing, like I said earlier, is I really hope that time has actually passed, and it feels like time has passed. Like we come back and people have kind of moved on because they didn't know if we were coming back. That would be cool.
Yeah, it would be nice.
So I will have to try to remember what my fourth Dracthyr / Evoker name is going to be. I did see that there was a interview done with Ian Hazacosta with, I believe it was with Fanbites, and they were talking about, it might have been with Hazel, but I'm pretty sure it was Fanbite. Yeah, it was written, so it was Fanbite. They were discussing like why they made it to where only Evoker was an option for Dracthyr. And they were talking about how they have been secluded away here this whole time, which doesn't make any sense because it's supposed to be some weird creation by Deathwing. That's what Dracthyr are, is what Deathwing was making during the Cataclysm expansion. Like, we kill one of them in the raid. He's the guy that is the God. What is he called? Oh, I can't open my adventurer guide. How very sad. He's the scientist, and he's got the amalgamations that you have to kill. You know what I'm talking about? I don't remember his name, but do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
So you have the two-headed, like, plant-looking thing. You kill it. You wade through his guts. You get the key to get the gnome or the goblin out of the cage, right? You know who I'm talking about there. And then you...
No.
That sucks.
What raid are you talking about?
Blackwing Lair, right? Whatever was in Cataclysm where we...
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
And then you go around, it's the big circle in the middle.
Name? Yeah, what is that guy's name?
I can't remember.
Did you get the title for killing his things?
Stupid minion. Killer of stupid and dumb minions.
Something minions,
that guy. So it's that guy. He's a Dracthyr. Like, that's what he is. He's just...
No, he's a dragonkin. He's not a Dracthyr.
But that's what he's supposed to be.
No, they're not the same thing. I'm pretty sure
then
that the Dracthyr and the dragonkin are not the same thing.
Well, then at least he's the one that was trying to help him make them. Because they talk about that these were things that Neltharion had made. That's where the Dracthyr come from. And so Ian was saying that right now, when the expansion goes live, they'll only be able to be Evokers. But in a patch, like maybe, 11.0, maybe they'll give us the option. There's no reason at that point that they couldn't pick up a sword and decide they want to be a warrior. He said that is open for discussion later. So that'd be nice. I could see that. I could follow along and be good with it if that's kind of the choice that they make. It's like, okay, you could only be this because you lived on this island. It's all you know. It's all there was to know.
Yeah,
However...
That would mean there's no way that guy was a Dracthyr. Because there's no way that they were secluded on that island if he was a Dracthyr.
Well, I just don't know how they were secluded on the island to begin with, because the Dracthyr were being made during Cata. Because they say that they were a creation made by Neltharion after he turned into Deathwing.
Well, Deathwing was around long enough to be on that island.
But he wasn't Deathwing at the time. He was Neltharion, the Earthbinder. Like, he wasn't a bad guy at the time. So, if what they're trying to say is that even as a good guy, he was this weird, creepy scientist guy that liked to mishmash things together, that's kind of terrifying. Gross.
I mean, I kind of think that's what they're saying.
Yeah. He's always been a creator, I guess.
I mean, he's clearly a scientist, right? I mean,
He's a creator.
I mean, look at his dungeon in Legion. Run for your lives, ogres.
Run. So I really do hope that they give Dracthyr the ability to have other classes later. I'm okay with the idea that they are one race, one class, and then later, once they've like met the Azerothian community, air quotes, they give them the option to learn more. Because in my opinion, that means that Pandaren should only have been monks. Because they only lived on Pandaria, so they were secluded away from everything else. So how are they priests and shamans and warriors and rogues? And I could see why they would be Death Knights now, because they were around during that craziness. But other than that, that should be it. They should have just been monks, because lore would have dictated that's the way that it would work. Get my bags. So that works, so long as they open up options. It just kind of sucks that you have this new race, but maybe you don't want to play a caster class. You know, we were watching that podcast between Bellular and his friend. I think his name is Mark. And he was talking about how he was kind of bummed because he wanted to main a melee class next expansion, and he can't do that anymore because he wants to play Dracthyr. I could see how that would be frustrating.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Mike and Mark are as bad as Preach, and the community should be sick to death of them. They whine like mules. And there's no place for them in the WoW community anymore. And they really shouldn't be around anymore. They've got these terrible old boomer mentalities, and they should really just pack it up and either just play Final Fantasy XIV or focus on something that's not going to make people mad at them. Because I've had it with them. I'm tired of listening to them. I've unsubscribed from them on YouTube. I don't see their videos anymore. I feel better about myself not seeing their videos anymore.
I mean, I don't blame you. I agree that this whole mentality that it's not the way I want it, so I don't like it. I don't agree with that. Holy Jesus, you scared me. You actually got me. I'm not all for... Really? I'm sorry. My husband is in my house right now, so if anybody heard that, I'm sorry. I'm all for having an opinion about a game, but as somebody who... I don't always like the way that things go down in an expansion. I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not a real big fan of Shadowlands. I think they hyped up the jailer really, really big, and then they didn't follow through with the bigness of him. And then I don't particularly like the way that they summed up Sylvanas' storyline. That she was not in control of herself, and the jailer has been in charge of her this whole time. So they basically gave her an easy out for her bad behavior. She committed genocide. Sorry, that doesn't work for me. How do you feel about how they handled her storyline?
Sylvanas'?
Yeah.
So, like, I gotta just shuffle in here. So, my problem with the Sylvanas storyline was that the vast majority of the WoW players were overjoyed, because, you know, it's almost everybody's horde, that she burnt Teldrassil. But if you go on the forums, people are like, oh no, most of the horde players are mad that she did it. No, they weren't. Most of the horde players are sociopathic sycophants who enjoyed what she did and defended her to the last, as evidenced by the fact that how many of them held on to the fact that they were loyalists in the cinematic choices that they allowed you to make at the time. I don't know if a lot of people remember that or not. Through BFA.
Yeah, you could choose to stick with her or go away.
Yeah. And the overwhelming majority of people stuck with her all the way to the end. And it's disgusting that people were thinking that was okay.
Well, and I guess as devil's advocate, they would say it's just a video game, you know.
You're still, but you play your video game, which in a way that is representative of you as a person.
Oh, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying their devil's advocate to what you're saying would be it's just a video game, so it's not that big of a deal. No, it is. It's a huge deal. You're agreeing that this person killing almost an entire race of people. Hi, Hitler, how are you?
Not even a race of different people. Her own people. Essentially. I mean, elves, but she's a high elf, but same idea.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I agree. I never agreed with the decision. Even the decision that was the direction that she would go in. I mean, when I heard that that's where they were going during BFA, like during the pre-launch and everything, when it was this whole, like, that's where their forces were going, that's where she was taking the horde, I was like, she's gonna burn that tree down. That's totally what she's gonna do. And if she doesn't, I will be shocked. And when she did, I was just like, well, that wasn't shocking. I remember I'm a sap. I did cry when it happened. And I felt...
I was just all white hot rage, and I'm just like, no, this is some horseshit, Blizzard.
You can only go so far, I think, before you start creating a pretty big rift in the community, and that would have been one of them. That really created, like, I had a hard time, going, oh yeah, I'm gonna go play my horde character. I kind of don't want to. Like, it was very, I'm good. I'd rather do something else. I think we steered clear of the horde side for a pretty good while after that. Just because it was a lot. It was a lot to expect people to get over quickly and move on from. And I for one, am not over that.
I have no doubts that somehow she'll manage to weasel her way into this expansion. I'm not exactly sure how yet, because I don't know enough about the expansion to know how she's going to get out of the Shadowlands at this point.
Well, she's not. So in the cinematic, she is cast into the Maw.
Yeah, I know that.
So, like,
but she will find a way into this expansion. I don't know how it's going to happen yet, but she will find her way out of the Maw.
Maybe towards the end, I could see her.
She will find a way to come in and fuck up this expansion somehow.
Not a big fan. The man is not a big fan.
But she cannot be part of the Horde anymore. There's no way. They'll never accept her back.
Yes, that's what we're going to do here.
At least not in
I'm in desperate
any
need
any sort of serious capacity.
for new plate
What do you-
outfits. I'm mumbling to myself because I've got like nothing to wear as a horde player.
By the way, this is how it normally goes. She doesn't listen to a word I say.
No, I'm totally listening to you. Don't be like that. That's me.
Also not untrue. So
I agree that she's going to make her way back into this. I just hope that it's towards the end and it's like time has passed and she has at least to make her complete her like prison sentence. You know, like give it a good long while. Because time like we said, I'm hoping that there's a time jump from when we left Azeroth to when we come back. So by the end of the expansion, it could have been 6 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30, 40, 50, who knows, by the end of Dragonflight when she could come back and have an opinion.
Well, I mean, I don't think she ever gets an opinion ever again, but
And I don't disagree with that either. I am not a big fan of how her storyline was handled. There was a better way. There's always a better way.
well, it's just that she destroyed Undercity. Then she destroyed Teldrassil.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be a line somewhere.
Yeah. I agree. There. Jesus. We'll just do that for now. Good God. All right, so changing directions a little bit. Do you think that tomorrow, April 26th, they will possibly announce the pre-order? Or is it
No.
going to be overshadowed because of Overwatch 2's
We won't
beta?
hear about the pre-order till about probably August or September.
They usually let it come out with the reveal, though.
Right, but they're not ready for any of that yet, especially since it's in this particular environment. In this kind of environment where we didn't have a BlizzCon, where we didn't have, any sort of special like reveals or anything like that. Like we didn't have any like, I don't know, we didn't have any special like events, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a while before we hear about a pre-order. I would say August for pre-order. And then we'll start talking about technical alphas and things like that very soon after that, maybe about the same time. And then the first closed beta in like November. And then working with betas and things like that, and then release probably in April. So I would say we're talking at least a year for the actual game.
I mean, I was always assuming that it would be a while for the game came out, but usually we get the pre-order early and we get like pre-order stuff. Like we get a pre-order mount.
You'll get pre-orders. You're going to get stuff. I mean, August is still 8 months from when the game's going to come out.
So your expectation is pre-order available in August, alpha in November, and
September,
then
October, November, one of those months. Yeah, because even like listening to Tali talk, and I'm guessing he actually knows because he knew everything else. He just couldn't tell us. He even said it on his stream.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that he even knows the release date. And he was guessing the release date in sometime April next year.
Well, I agree
So
with
I'm
that.
guessing-
That was my guess. I think we'll get a pre-order by at the latest. This is my guessing. So your guess was August. I'm guessing we'll get a pre-order by the end of May. And then we'll get alpha by June. We'll get beta by the beginning of next year. And then we'll have an alpha, or we'll have a release in April. Late April, maybe even early May.
Well, we'll have to have a beta by the end of this year if they want it to be any good. So it'll have to be before that. We won't be able to have a beta next year and still have it be long enough for them to give us what we want. Because we did that this expansion and look how bad it was.
So then
So
I
we're
would
gonna
even
need
be
to have a
willing to
longer-
say beta
We're
would.
gonna need a longer beta session than what we had this time.
I mean, beta could come out in November or December. Like
One of them.
I'd be okay with that. I think that we'll get a pre-order by the end of May. We'll have alpha by June. Then we'll have beta, okay, I'll say between November and December, and then a release of April next year. Those are my predicts.
I'll never use that again.
And then, okay, so here's a big one. I saw two things that I noticed. I'm curious if you noticed. Well, one I noticed like visually, and one was said. So the one that I noticed visually is, did you see which direction the power is flowing in the pillar?
I pointed this out to you.
You didn't.
Yes, I did. I pointed this out to you. It's still
Okay.
going toward the maw. It's still broken.
No, I'm not talking about in the Shadowlands. I'm talking about the Pillar of Tyr in the cinematic.
Oh, no, I don't pay attention to that.
It's
I don't ever pay attention to cinematics because there's never any actual context clues in them. They just throw shit together.
well, I think this is actually a context clue. It's flowing down. So a lot of people said that it was interesting that it was flowing up into the sky. No, wherever that power is coming from is flowing from the sky down into Azeroth.
Well, I mean, it is a Titan construct.
And when Titan constructs are on top of things, it's never a good thing.
That's not true.
Name one time a Titan construct had something good in the basement.
Alduar was good until Yogg-Saron got in there.
Exactly.
But Alduar was doing its job until Yogg-Saron got in there.
So by proxy, what do you think's down there?
I don't think anything's down there really. Other than like maybe another like black dragonflight AP. Like not quite Sinestra, but or what was her name? Yeah, it was Sinestra, right?
Mm-hmm.
One from Heroic what was that? What was that raid?
I know what it's Twilight Highlands.
Yeah, that one.
Can't remember the name of it. It's been so long, people. You don't understand.
Bastion of Twilight.
Bastion of Twilight.
Yeah, so maybe another broodmare. But otherwise, I don't know, I guess that doesn't really maybe that doesn't really make sense, I guess, but
I mean, maybe either that or there's, like an elemental primal down there, like that they're using as a control, like it's a prison and it's a control element to keep it under control, Because that leads into, during the cinematic, Alexstrasza says, let the land slumber until they return, right? Like, she says that at the very, very beginning of the cinematic. But the reality is like, in all of the interviews and stuff that came after, they talk about that, yeah, it's the land, like, was not visible to other people, but there are races that are living on the Dragon Isles that went about their life without the dragons there. So, like, this whole business that, like, the Titan structures went to sleep and the land just, like, went to bed for 10,000 years, it didn't. It has a whole structure to it now that has nothing to do with the dragons because they weren't there. So it'll be really interesting to see.
No, I don't think that's quite right. So that structure was built while the dragons were there. They left those guys there for that purpose.
Well, I know. I'm saying, but she says when they shut it down, she's like, let the land slumber until we return. The land didn't slumber. The centaurs went there with their god, like, that took them across the ocean and took them to it.
Centaurs were always there.
And, yeah, but they didn't go to sleep. They went about their.
But the land slept. I mean, I don't think they meant everybody. I just think they mean, like, their aspects of the stuff. I think.
I don't know. I mean, you could be right.
Because there's no way that they were, you know, I don't know. I just don't understand why they thought they needed to abandon their lands, because they didn't help anybody.
No, they did not.
At least, well, I mean, sure, they helped, like in Dragon Soul, they did their thing, but, like, after Dragon Soul ended, they just sort of were, like, fucked off to wherever. And in Dragonblight, back in Wrath, where you could just fly to the top of the tower and you could go see them all, they're all just standing there.
Yeah.
I can't exactly...
Well, to be fair, they don't know how to get back to the dragon. When that thing gets turned off, it covers up the land and they can't get back. That's why they are, if you watch closely, there's like a lightning storm behind the clouds, and the lightning storm has the colors of the aspects in it. When you're watching the cinematic, when the Kratos or Kranos or however you say his name, the Stone Watcher, looks up, there's lightning flashes in the sky that are the colors of the aspects. Because they know that the Dragon Isles are in that vicinity, but they can't get to it until he turns that tier pillar back on. And it opens the path. So they can't get home that whole time. And so they're stuck. Now, what makes it to where they can go home and it wakes up and he can turn it back on? I don't understand that. But the whole point is they can't find it. Because the Pillar of Tyr is turned off. The path is closed. Basically. So on that note, going with that, like, the land was asleep, now it's not asleep. Why are they coming back? Why is it so important to come back now? What we didn't get, that we have gotten in every single cinematic previous to this, who's our big bad? We have always known.
We didn't, because we didn't get it in BFAs.
Well, we knew, though. We knew that it was Sylvanas. We didn't know...
We didn't know anything about N'Zoth.
In the beginning, we didn't. But originally, it was... We were going against Sylvanas for what she had done. So Sylvanas technically was the big bad of that. And then they changed it. But we've always had, like, an expectation of why we're going there. Maybe they'll tell us in the pre-patch.
I mean, if we actually get a pre-patch.
I'm sure we will.
I mean, like, a decent one, because, like, the last one was nothing, right? Like, we didn't get anything exciting. Remember the Legion pre-patch? We fought like hell. Like, we fought like hell.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, for those that don't know, I had barely started playing WoW. I started playing a week before Black Temple came out, and I still didn't have a max level character during the pre-patch of Wrath. I did not have a max level until after Wrath came out.
I had just gotten max level on my first character when the pre-patch for Wrath came out.
So I know about it. I remember the carnage of it.
I killed many, many people on accident because I didn't know what was going on. I still wasn't quite that smart.
I remember the carnage, and I remember dying a lot and not knowing why. But I did not play the pre-patch. My first pre-patch was the next expansion. So where I actually was I was clear on the game. I had a max level character at that point. I was part of a raiding guild. It's when you and I had become friends at that point. We didn't know each other in pre-patch. We started, our friendship started in ICC 25-man, if I remember correctly.
It was when I started my raid leading career.
Yeah. So Chris was my raid leader back in the day, and now we're besties.
It was about my only time I was a successful raid leader too. It took forever.
But you were really good at it. You and there was a guy in there named Jug, and the two of you were pretty, like, we got through it. You know what I mean? Like, I did not kill the Lich King. I wound up quitting raiding, not because I was quitting raiding. I quit because I started leveling a priest. And
you started leveling a baby. Is what she started doing.
No, not at that point. Not yet. I was pregnant.
Guys, she had sex. Okay.
Oh man. I was pregnant at the end of Wrath, and I had a baby in Canada.
I was in a guild called Righteous Ire, and the raid leader, we had started having problems in Ulduar, in 25-man Ulduar, people weren't showing up. So I took 10 people, along with my best friend at the time. We were both DKs who were just monstrously overpowered. And instead of forcing people to learn every single fight and then just going at every fight one at a time, but having to know everything all at once, we were discussing fights individually on the night and going in with fresh strategies every night. We made it all the way through Ulduar 10-man heroic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not really heroic. This is not really a heroic 10-man for Ulduar. It's hard.
Yep. And then you guys carried that over into ICC because I had my ex-husband, not going to say any more than that, was part of the guild. And I had never been part of a guild. I didn't know anything about raiding. And he asked you or Jug if I could join the guild.
Well, Jug wasn't part of Righteous Ire. At that point,
I
had decided it was time to break from Righteous Ire because people were just... Because
it was either Devotion or Nemesis.
Yeah, I had taken over, turned it into Devotion, and combined Devotion and Nemesis into a single raid.
Mm-hmm.
And then that 25-man killed Lich King.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had decided it was time to just be done with Devotion, so I turned it over to the other raid leader because he was just being a dick. And then I went to Aces of Azeroth, and I got them through 10 and 25-man heroic Lich King.
And then you were gone, and then I followed you to Aces. But I didn't know that you were part of Aces. I wound up doing a dungeon they were like doing a random, and there were 4 out of 5 of them that queued up, and then I wound up being their healer. And they asked me if I wanted to join the raid or the guild, and I said yes, and I joined, and then I went to their raid night and you were there, and I was like, oh, holy crap, I know him, you know. And then that was it. That's where we've been since then as friends. We go where the other one goes.
Yeah, they recruited me because they were doing the top 100
Yep.
10-man stuff for
remember
Heroic,
that.
and they needed a strong Death Knight. And because at the time, Blood was DPS. So,
Back in the day, there was no tank spec for...
Yes, there was. It was Frost. What happened was that DK, when it released backwards. And so when DK released, Blood was supposed to be the tank spec, but Frost presence ended up being the tanking presence. But Blood presence ended up being the one that increased your crit, increased how much damage you did, and things like that.
Okay.
So...
Well, you would know more than I would, because I was not a demon hunter for sure. So you
right,
totally
because those
know.
didn't come out until Legion. So...
I mean, a Death Knight, sorry.
So what happened... Well, so what you ended up having to happen is that you would DPS in Blood, but the problem was you could tell it was supposed to be a tank because every ability that Blood had at that healed it. Heart Strike, Death Strike, all of the diseases, they healed you. So good Blood Death Knights, even though they were DPSing, were still like topping the healing charts.
Yeah.
And the DPS charts. As long as you could get enough armor penetration on your character to get you there, you didn't need anything else. Right. So it was just kind of silly. And they didn't fix that for a long time.
So side note, off of Dragonflight, excited for Wrath of the Lich King Classic?
Yeah, but I'm guessing they're probably going to have that fixed.
Maybe. I mean, they might have some aspects of it fixed, but, you know, maybe not all of it. Like, you'll still have that ability to just absolutely smash the bad guys.
I'm gonna find out.
Yeah.
Well, that means we're gonna probably have to go back to Burning Crusade. I think I'm gonna have to have a max level character like a DK.
Ugh. I mean, yay! I personally have never been a big fan of Burning Crusade. I mean, I like some of it, but honestly, I could skip out on that. I need to go here.
But if that's the case, then I can't have a Death Knight.
Well,
if they're following the rules of the game. If they're not, then, you know, whatever. I mean, I don't know if they addressed... I don't remember if they addressed that in the thing or not.
I don't think they did, but also I don't think that would necessarily make sense, because, like, me, as an example, and you, Burning Crusade is not... Classic is not my thing, Burning Crusade is not my thing, but Wrath of the Lich King, that's where my WoW career started. And so... I don't want to play Burning Crusade and have to get a max level character in order to play this other classic thing. And it seems like Blizzard is taking into account how people feel about something. You know,
and they are going to give you a boost when you buy the game, so maybe.
Yeah. So.
But I don't want to have to waste a boost on something just to get a Death Knight.
And I mean, to be fair, I have a boosted Shaman on that classic server that went very poorly, and I gave up very quickly.
Well, yeah, you did give me a chance.
It wasn't you, it was me. I was frustrated because the add-ons didn't work properly, and they're so... Like, I can tell you, had I started healing back then, I wouldn't have wanted to be a healer, because you have to know when to use, like, a level 2 versus a level 1 versus a level 5 of your spell, and she's like, no way. No. Give it to me powered up, slowly but surely, but I only use the next level up. I don't have to choose between level 1, level 2, level 3 of the same damn spell. Just no. There's too many buttons. There's not enough spaces for all of those buttons, let alone try to keep up with. Keeping everybody alive and moving and all the rest of it. So not a big fan. Not a big fan. I'll put it that way. Not a big fan. I might change my mind. That's where I leveled Rodai during Wrath. So I did fall in love with healing during Wrath. She was a holy priest. And then she got switched to disc in Kata. And then she went back to holy priest in Wad? Maybe? No. Mist came before Wad, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
She went back to Holy and Mist, and then back to, and has since been Disc in every expansion since then. So, which is why I'm confident, we were talking about earlier, that you're like not a big fan of Disc. It's why I'm confident playing Disc. I've been doing it for a while.
Well, Wrath, 100%. Disc is king.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember.
On 25-man heroic Lich King. But Board of Glory, when it came out near the end of Lich King, for Paladins, was a Defile killer.
Yeah.
Because it would just eat up the debuff with one cast. It would clear all of the debuffs that Arthas put out because you had to heal them off. One Word of Glory, or as I like to call it, the Paladin Flashlight, would instantly heal it off of everybody that had it, as long as you were behind everybody. Because the cone in front of the Paladin was so powerful, was all it took.
I do remember that.
That was exactly why I made a Paladin, was because of the changes to the healing. Because at one point with the talents, all I was using was Flash of Light to heal heroic 25 man.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, from there on out.
So, I mean, I'm excited. I will be very excited to go back there. I like the dungeons. I like the raids. It's a great walk down memory road because that's where you and I became friends. It's where we are, like, everything started as far as anything to do with you and I's, like, hanging out and all that fun stuff. So, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll be interested to go back. Put down live for a while, and I mean, since we already have live subs, it's not like we have to pay extra other than just buying the game, which is kind of stupid since we've already bought the game once. Of course, they don't really know that, do they? I mean, they do know that, but they don't know that.
You can take stuff out of the guild bank. You just can't take a lot for some reason. I'm fixing it.
Just put the freaking bags back in the bank.
Well, I'm going to. I'm fixing out how many you can take is my thing.
Yeah. But, like, both of the accounts that I have here, the one that I'm on right now and then my original one, are both older than this one is older than Cataclysm. And then the other one was made in Cataclysm.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, you guys, I bought Wrath once, why do I have to buy it again?
Yeah, gotta make their money somehow.
Oh, you mean the billions of dollars they made last year, even through the lawsuits? Sure.
Yeah,
Sure, they can have that money.
There we go. So,
I'm just going to touch on this real quick before we get on to any other like related subjects. This game does not need player housing. It serves no practical purpose. It serves no purpose in any game. It's only served practical purpose in one game that it's ever been in, and that was Ultima Online. And even then, it only just barely serves a purpose to where you can lock actual like things down in it. And like, we don't really accumulate permanent things in this game. We're not supposed to accumulate permanent things in this game other than our legendary items. And like, our bank is more than sufficient to accommodate the legendary items we have. And so we do not need player housing in this game. The only reason we would need player housing in this game is to deplete the gold in this game. And in order for that to happen, houses would need to cost like 15, 20 million. So we do not need player housing. So I've said that, I've spoken, there will be no player housing in this game ever at any time.
I can't say that I disagree with that, not gonna lie.
Because in Final Fantasy XIV, I had a house one time. Somebody offered to max my account out of Gil if they could have my house. That's 999 999 999 Gil. If they could have my house. That's ridiculous.
Are you only gonna let me buy them one at a time? I can't just
you
buy
can't,
it.
You can't. Yeah, you can't bulk buy bags. And I'm just like, I can see why people might want player housing, but I just don't understand. There's no need for it in this game. If we could decorate a house, sure, but we already have player housing. It's called a garrison, and you guys hated it. Why do people think giving it to us in a different shape is going to make it better?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I mean, so the only time that I have ever enjoyed any kind of housing, I love Skyrim, where you could have a house, and you could have, your room where you showed off armor and weapons and things like that.
It has a practical purpose.
That I enjoyed. But in any other sense of the word, like, honestly, when are you going to go to your house in this game? Your house is going to be located not in the current expansion that you're dealing with. So when are you going home? When you need to put something in the bank? Well, do you
Let's go to a city?
Go to a city. Go to the main city in the game that you're in, the expansion that you're currently in. Do you want to show off gear that you got? Well, that's kind of what the transmog's for. Do you want to show off a particular piece of weaponry that you got? That's what the transmog person is for. It doesn't seem like there's a particular purpose to it in the game.
I mean,
I'm all for it if there was a purpose.
Here's the only thing that would that would change my opinion on player housing is if they give me a lot of extra bank slots for storage. Like, I'm talking a lot. Because in Ultima Online, I had a castle. And it's because I was one of the first people on the new server. I could, and I had gold because I had transferred. So I could plop down the castle in an open spot. Now, other people had to make smaller because, it filled up. But you could have, so whatever space, even in 18 by 18, you had thousands of places where thousands of pixels where you could put things. Mm-hmm. And so, if you put down a container, that container could hold, 255 items, depending on the container. So if you give me something like that, that's a different story.
Yeah. I don't think that's the plan.
And it may not be, but if it gives, if I get something like that with some practical storage, sure. otherwise, there's no point, and I'm not having it. Like, you can't convince me that that's something that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And no matter how nice it looks or anything like that, my fear is that if it's Blizzard giving us player housing, everybody's house is going to be in the same spot, which is going to cause like a layered Dalaran problem. In order to get Dalaran in the air, they had to put a Dalaran underneath it. And I'm like, does that mean that every time somebody goes into their house and I'm in my house, that I'm going to have to be like waiting for my house to load because 90,000 other houses are trying to load at the same time?
Probably.
And it's not really something I want. Let alone that's not really something anybody needs.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's not for me to decide.
All right. So my final question or thoughts to go around are your thoughts on dragon riding. How excited are you to have your own Toothless?
Pretty excited for that. I do have some concerns, but I am pretty excited for the idea of the dragon riding.
Have you looked at the options on the Dragonflight website?
No, but I'm gonna reserve that for the actual game.
Well, they give you the base so that you can like look at the base. It doesn't show you all the fun options that it comes with. So there's four different varieties of Drake. And when you start the game, you'll have to decide what variety you want. And there's the Proto, the Pterodac, it's like the Wyvern wiring skeletal system, and then a Drake skeletal system.
Yeah, no, I haven't looked because I prefer to leave that for when I actually get to it in game.
Mm-hmm.
My concern is that I'm gonna have to learn how to be like a naval aviator in order to get all of the cool whatnots and doodads for my dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that to be the case because I'm not as agile as I used to be on the keyboard, and I don't want to be a concert pianist in order to make my dragon look cool.
Yeah, right. I can understand that. For sure. Oh, I asked you this question, and I don't think we got really into it, was who you thought the big bad was going to be. We were talking about that, and then we got off because we were talking about Sylvanas, and which led to the Lich King expansion. Who do you have an idea of who you think is going to be the big bad for this expansion? I do.
I think in the beginning, I think we're gonna have to wrestle the throne back from Torleon.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna have a battle for Stormwind sort of scenario on our hands.
Okay.
After that, I fear we're going to be heading back to N'Zoth. So he didn't actually die.
No.
So, but I don't know. The biggest concern is the rehashing of some seriously old god type stuff that we just don't need to. But because even Il'gynoth is still around, and I know we freaking killed him, so I'm not sure why that guy's still around.
I think that Galakron is going to come back to life. Or is coming back to life. So I don't know if you know who that is.
I mean, I don't know that I haven't actually done any reading on Galakron, but.
So Galakron was the first big bad that the dragons ever helped deal with. So this was back before Alexstrasza and all of them were aspects. They were still, I don't know if you know that they were originally Proto-Drakes. They didn't look like how they look now. They looked like the Proto-Drakes that we see in the game. So like the Time Lost Proto-Drake, the Blue Proto-Drake, they look like them. And Galakron was also a Proto-Drake. He was the progenitor of dragonkind, and that's according to Alexstrasza. And what he started doing was kind of gross. He started eating Proto-Drakes. He just got hungry one day, and instead of doing what they normally do, he just turned around and started eating his kin. And when they would die, they would come back as undead Proto-Drakes. So I think the equivalent to that would be the plague-bound Proto-Drake now. I think is kind of a form of that. I don't know if it's actually his, but so the purple-mouthed one, or the pinkish purple-mouthed ones that you can only get on the black market house. And when they would come back, they were bound to his will, so they would also eat dragons. They would attack them and try to eat them. And he was, or bring them to Galakron, either or. And then, his hunger became so bad that he would even re-eat the undead ones. How gross is that? So, if they couldn't find him a live Proto-Drake, he would just eat them instead, which is kind of gross. So that's where the Titan tier comes into it. That's why there's that whole storyline in Dragonblight about it. That's where the fight happened between Galakron and the Aspects, which is where his skeleton is as well. And Tyr helped them kill Galakron, and then he got together with other Titans, and that's how they became the Aspects, and how their forms changed and their powers changed, and they became the protectors of Azeroth, because those 5 Proto-Drakes, so Nozdormu, Ysera, Alexstrasza, Neltharion, and Kalecgos, which it wasn't Kalecgos at the time, it was Malygos, got together with Tyr, fought off this big, huge, bad Proto-Drake guy that was massive. I mean, because he was eating everybody, so he was humongous. And that's why his skeleton is so big in Dragonblight. And so they turned them into the Aspects. So that's little dragon history there for you. So I kind of hope it's him, because I think that's creepy, that's cool, that's really creepy, especially if how would he come back to life? Because they killed him, so how would he come back? I don't know, but it'd be cool. Um, and then, you know, could it be old gods? Maybe, like you said, N'Zoth wasn't necessarily killed. So it could be N'Zoth. Could be Deathwing. Like, maybe we didn't kill Deathwing. Maybe we just thought we killed him. Maybe he went off somewhere to lick his wounds and he'll come back worse than he was before. Maybe he'll turn into Galakron. You know, like that whole idea behind Galakron. Because we saw him during this expansion, I think it was. In, like, the nightmares that Sarah was having before her egg hatched.
Yeah.
N'Zoth created the Twilight Dragonflight. They aren't gone. They're still very much like out in the world. There's not a lot of them, but they're still out there. And then my other hope would be maybe I don't remember his name. Hold on, I have to think. It's the Infinite Dragonflight leader. What is his name?
Yeah, I used to know it. I don't remember it anymore.
It starts with an M.
Mal'Ganis?
No, that's the Blue Dragonflight. No, that's not even
No,
Blue Dragonflight. Mal'Ganis is the demon. No, it's not Mor's Domu. It's Murozon. He is a version of Norse Dormu. Like, remember, because at some point we go on this mission. I think it was during leveling. You go on this mission with Norse Dormu, and you meet yourself, and you meet him as the Infinite Dragonflight leader. I remember this, but I don't remember where. But maybe it's time, because that is the future for Norse Dormu. He knows that. He knows that eventually he will turn into the Infinite Flight. It's just somehow, some way, that timeline got crossed into ours, and so we see them sometimes. I don't know how it got crossed into. That'd be something I would have to do some research on. Because I know that their whole thing is that they can travel through time, so maybe they just cross through each other.
Yeah, I don't know. It's possible.
Because maybe that's how Galakron comes back. Is like he's a different timeline Galakron, but he's still just as bad. Like how Garrosh was, or not Garrosh, the other one. Oh Lord. Gul'dan. There we go.
Gul'dan, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's how he comes back, is in that form. I'll be interested to see who the big bad for this expansion is. Those are some really good ones. Those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head because they're the ones that make the most sense. You know, old gods, we've been dealing with old gods for a while, so it would be nice if it was something different. The color of the Twilight Drake peeps is the same color as the Void Lords, so maybe they would go in that direction, because that would seem logical that that's the way that we're going, is towards a Void Lord expansion eventually. I will put all of my eggs in one basket. I really want there to be a Galakron thing. Even if it is going back in time in a dungeon, like in a Norse Dormus type dungeon, where they take us back and we have to go back and be a part of that fight. That would be amazing. Galakron has always been interesting to me. I'm a big fan of his history. That's how come I know it. So I'd be interested in that. That would be really cool for an expansion. Bad guy. So out of those that I said, who would you hope it would be? You said the old guy. Is that your hope, or is that just your guess?
It's my guess, but that's just because we don't have any idea what the hell's going on. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, Shadowlands has no story.
Nope, not really.
The jailer was just a robot, dude.
They all are robots.
I know, but I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying though, right? Like, it just turns out that the jailer's a robot. Like, what was that shit? So I'm just like, we fought them as robots in the raid. So, like, I don't get it. So, I've completely put this, like, expansion behind me at this point. I don't even want to, like, play this game anymore. Like, I said I was going to quit after this expansion, and the only thing that would keep me here was a new race, either Murlocs, Snake People, or Dragons. We're getting Dragons. It's the only reason I'm staying.
Right? Please let it be Dragons.
At this point, like, I don't know what to think anymore.
Yeah.
You know, Sylvanas did not get actual justice meted out to her.
Nope.
So everybody that was really happy that Sylvanas killed, you know, many people, get off scot-free.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what's going on in the real world.
Nope.
Because, you know, we've been locked up in the maw, even though, you know, canonically we can just walk out whenever we want back to the real world. But, you know, in theory, we can't do that because, you know, we are stuck there the same as everybody else.
Which I'm assuming...
But, you know, we have that portal there to Stormwind, right? From Ouroboros. So Gen can come back and forth whenever he wants. So he could give us news from the outside world. So in theory, we didn't do that, though, as heroes. We stayed there and we fought the good fight.
Right.
Because,
I'm hoping...
Anduin was there. But there was nothing keeping Horde characters there. Right? They don't give a shit about Anduin, clearly.
Thrall was there.
They don't give a shit about Thrall.
True. They're
there because Bane was there, maybe.
Maybe. Their whole idea, if we can travel back and forth, which is what they gave us, there should have been at least some things happening in Stormwind, at least. Because we left with a form of what could possibly be oh god, the word escapes me, just kind of like what the chicken, the hell was her name, the chicken
Uriel.
wad, Uriel, yeah, like a tyrant. We left a tyrant, and not only a tyrant but like a religious tyrant on the throne, taking care of something that he hasn't been a part of civilization. You know, he was stuck on Draenor, or not Draenor, oh Jesus. Was it Draenor? Yeah, I guess it was Draenor. No. Help me. Where did we find Trollion?
We met Trollion in Legion.
And we were...
He was on Broken Shore.
Thank you. But he came from wherever the Burning Legion was.
Yeah. I mean, that was
Twisting Nether.
That was still WoD timeline, though, right?
Yeah.
Because the Burning Legion was dead. They lost in our timeline. Illidan single-handedly took them out, right? So...
Well, I think it wasn't. I think Legion was in this timeline. Because Gul'dan comes back to this timeline. We currently are in the correct timeline. It's just things have changed because not everybody is dead like they originally were. But the people that are now those people are not the original timeline. It's very complicated. Not WoW's best choice to cross timelines like that so that they could bring people back. Because it made it very convoluted for later. However, like I said, like he was willing to be okay with them doing terrible things to Illidan in the name of the light. I'll be very interested to see kind of where his... I don't think that giving Thralion the keys to the Stormwind Kingdom was the best choice that Anduin could have made. I think they set that up on purpose. You know, as future time will tell. I think that he should have had Gen be in charge. Gen is a king. Gen is a homeless king. Gen respects Anduin. Thralion just... He doesn't know Anduin. He doesn't care about Anduin. He's a zealot. I don't know.
That's true.
Could be good, could be bad. So, time will tell. Time will tell. I think that's it for today. This was a look into a possible plan for Chris and I, as we would like to start a conversation-ish type podcast like this, and keep going into the future. The plan is to follow the releases of information for Dragonflight, and hopefully be able to take you through some beta content when it comes out, if we get an invite, and play it out, enjoy it when it comes out, for sure. Talk about, we'll probably have to come back and watch this one, because we did some predictions, and we'll see if we were right. Yeah. I think that's it for today. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.